Okay, what was the story here? The story is that there is an individual lesbian whose name is Guadalupe Benitez, I believe. Guadalupe T. Benitez. She lives in Oceanside, California. She went to a medical practice where they informed her at the beginning. She was seeking fertility treatment, and they informed her at the beginning, we'll help you, we'll work with you, but if you want intrauterine insemination to create a baby in your situation, we feel in our medical practice, the two doctors said, no, we're not going to do that. We'll refer you to other doctors in the vicinity who can do that for you. And despite the fact that she had been informed at the beginning of seeing these physicians that they were not going to follow that particular procedure, she went ahead. Then she asked for the intrauterine insemination. The doctors turned her down, and of course she sued. Then went to the Supreme Court, and they said, yep, the plaintiff is right. She was right to sue. They have to be forced to provide this insemination. Now, let me tell you what the problem is here. It would be easy, and if you look at this superficially, it would be easy to say this is just another case of a court gone mad, but it's not. It's a case of a legislature and a whole state gone mad, because the people of California passed legislation through the legislature guaranteeing equal treatment in virtually all things of gay and lesbian people. And given the fact that that what you're saying here is that this is not a medical practice where if the patient had been a married woman married to another man, they would have turned her down. They would have performed that procedure for a married woman. Now, here it gets very complicated. Just bear with me for a moment. What the doctors were saying was that they originally turned down this lady for this procedure, not because she was gay, but because she was unmarried. But now two things have changed. Number one, obviously, in the state of California, at least until the people vote on this in November, gay people can get married. So she could come and say, and if this case came again. Secondly, they have changed the law. The anti-discrimination law now says not only are you not allowed to make a distinction about what you do, you're not only not allowed to make that distinction based upon sexual preference, you're not allowed to make that distinction based upon marital status. Now, this is outrageous when you think about it. What does it mean? It means, for instance, let's say you're a little old lady, and let's say you're a little old Bible-believing lady, and you live in a 4-unit apartment building. One apartment you keep, and your expenses are provided because you rent out the other 3 units. And let's say you do not want an unmarried couple shacking up together in your apartment building. Tough luck. In the state of California, you can no longer make that distinction. This is what is happening in our country. People of faith, people with more traditional values, are more than willing to live and let people, they can go to another apartment building. You want to live with your girlfriend? There are plenty of places where you can live together outside of matrimony. Why should it be required that you must have the same access to live together, that it's wrong for someone to say, wait a minute, this is my apartment, I'm renting it out, and for the people to say that determining the availability of that apartment based upon marital status is similar to determining it based upon race, it's outrageous. It is secular extremists, particularly radical homosexual activists, who are trying to take away religious liberty and the opportunity for Americans, people of faith, to practice and express and live their own religious values. This rather horrifying reality is brought home by a brand new Supreme Court case in California. This one decided not by the 4-3 margin of the famous, now notorious gay marriage case, a case that the voters in California will have an opportunity to overturn in November, but with another case involving so-called homosexual rights, gay rights. And what it involves, it seems to me, is the rights of physicians to live their own values in the practice of medicine. Let me describe this case to you. I know, but it seems to me that this goes to a much deeper issue than the specific issue of how people should be allowed to practice medicine and the extent to which people who are religious in the practice of medicine should be allowed to make their own decisions. What this illustrates, it seems to me, is that what is really at stake in this vote coming up in the state of California and in some of the issues that were discussed at the Saddleback Forum by Senator Obama and Senator McCain on Saturday night, what is really at stake in these gay rights-related issues is not the rights of gay people to live their own lives, but the rights of religious people to dissent from what has been the politically correct endorsement and vigorous endorsement of public expressions of homosexuality. Behavior. Nothing. It is a status that you have no control over. Marital status is something you control. Open homosexuality is something you control. You make decisions about it. You make decisions. And by the way, this is an elective procedure that these doctors were turning down. They could have gone to another medical practice. Instead, they wanted to sue. Why? Because there is the belief by radicals on this issue that there should be absolutely no ability for people who disagree with what has been called the gay agenda to register that disagreement. 1-800-955-1776. Sam in Irvine, California. You're on the Michael Medved Show.
Yes. So, hi, Mike. First-time caller. Actually, I love your show.
Thank you.
I'm Jewish, and my father is a physician, and he's told me that sometimes he's been in the ER, and he has seen patients that have swastikas all over the place, and he, doesn't want to treat like some of these neo-Nazis, but he has to because he took the Hippocratic oath, and that's what he has to do.
Right, but that would be the emergency room. And no one's talking about emergency room. This is a scheduled elective procedure. These ladies could have gone to another doctor who would have been glad to do it. And you see, again, to say that you have the ability with a scheduled elective procedure, I think you're absolutely right. I think it would be totally illegitimate. It would be a violation of medical ethics. If someone came into an emergency room and they're bleeding and they're suffering, and the doctor says, I can't treat you because you're a lesbian, that would be outrageous. It would be clearly unethical. But that is not this. This is the desire on the part of these women to create children, by the way, and one of the problems, by the way, that the doctors focused on, which the news accounts are not reporting, is they were using sperm from a married man, which, again, to religiously oriented doctors, compounded some of the moral issues. We'll get to more of the facts about the case, and I'm glad to talk to those of you who believe the Supreme Court is right, the California legislature is right, coming up.
1-800-955-1776. Michael Medved. Michael Medved Studio is sponsored by the franchisees of Mathnasium Learning Centers. Your child can be great at math. We know how. Parent and franchise information at mathnasium.com.
21 minutes after the hour, Dr. Douglas Fenton of the North Coast Women's Care Medical Group in Vista, California, told a lesbian patient that he and his colleagues were uncomfortable helping her conceive a child and advised her to find another doctor outside the medical group. Brody said she would not perform the procedure on any unmarried woman, heterosexual or homosexual. Is that if there is any one group that is trying to impose its values on everyone else, it is radical, secular leftists. Is that it has nothing to do with tolerance or acceptance or non-discrimination. What this has to do with is forcing one point of view on all of society. which is why people who say that, well, it's all right, once gay marriage is established, you'll be able in your own church or synagogue or wherever you happen to be is to make your own decisions. I don't think that's the truth, because even though you may want to carve out religious exceptions, the social pressure and the governmental pressure and the legal pressure against anyone who continues to dissent about the wonders and joys of homosexuality, that pressure will become